Well, good evening and welcome to Tucker Carlson Tonight. A caravan of more than 1,000 Central Americans, men, women, and children, is traveling across Mexico tonight. Mexican authorities are speeding them toward their destination, which is our country, our southern border. These are not refugees. They are border jumpers. They have no legal right to come here. And that's about the sum total of what we know about them at this point. We don't know if they have skills that we need, whether they speak English, whether they're gang members. We know nothing. Here's what they know about us. They know that if they can cross the border into California, they're set. Democratic politicians in that state will shelter them and give them benefits. From California, they can go anywhere in this country, just like millions and millions before them over the past 30 years. If you're wondering why America is not anything like the country you grew up in, this is why. Will anyone in power do anything to protect America this time? Or will leaders sit passively back as the invasion continues? Over the weekend and earlier today, the president sent a series of tweets that seemed to reflect frustration. Quote, "Act now, Congress," he tweeted at one point. "Our country is being stolen." Well, to that, official Washington scoffed. How dare the leader of our country pretend that we have the right to determine who comes here? What a racist. Here's Jim Sciutto, a former Obama political appointee who now poses as a journalist over at CNN. Watch.
As often happens with issues like this, we enter a fact-free zone. I mean, you got to fact-check the president on this. I mean, first of all, you heard that Fox News rhetoric, an army of migrants. I mean, it's not an army. It's a caravan. It's a group of folks who are seeking asylum. The president tweeted there are caravans as if there are multiple groups of people kind of storming the border. That's not true. It's one group.
Just a group of folks seeking asylum or propaganda from the Obama people pretending to be reporters. Shut up, America. That's the message. You have no right to complain. That's CNN's view, which means it's the left view as well. Is it America's view? Do voters agree? Do voters think that we have a moral obligation to admit every single person from around the world anytime who wants to come here, feed and house and educate them at our expense, even as our own middle class dies? Maybe voters do think that. I guess we'll find out in the midterm elections. This will help define those elections. Jessica Vaughn is Director of Policy of Studies, at the Center for Immigration Studies, and she joins us tonight. Jessica, thanks for coming on. So when the Obama guy over at CNN describes them as just a group of folks seeking asylum, where does that leave the United States? Does that mean that we can do nothing about this?
Well, if they're seeking asylum, what they should be doing is seeking it in the first safe country that they come to, which is Mexico in this case. But that's not what this is. This is a political stunt designed to challenge the United States and particularly the Trump administration. This is organized by activists. It's a walkathon for open borders. They know exactly what they're doing. They've recruited these people to join this group making their way to the United States. It's definitely a public relations stunt, and it's a challenge to our sovereignty, and the president needs to meet this challenge and not just carry on the way the Obama administration did and welcome them in. We don't need to accept their asylum applications. Heck, they're being trained on how to commit asylum fraud. So this is 1,000 people, but why wouldn't it be 100,000 people or 300,000 people? Why wouldn't it be the whole population of Salvador, the two-thirds that don't already live here? I mean, at some point that's going to happen because populations in poor countries are exploding. And what exactly is our recourse when that does happen? What do we do to prevent that from happening exactly? Well, that's why we have to prevent it from happening now. There's a reason this has been building to this point since the Obama administration essentially changed the rules on asylum and since friendly judges stepped in and said you can't detain kids, they can be used as deportation shields. One thing we could do is prevent them from getting to the United States and do as we've done in the past and tell Mexico we want to come in and head this off before they get to our border. And, we have a lot of leverage with Mexico, particularly on migration issues. It's not their job to control our border, but we can make it in their interest to help us prevent things like this from happening because, let's face it, Mexico gets a lot more out of our bilateral migration relationship than we do. So we need to use that leverage, maybe kind of tie it into NAFTA if we have to. But we don't need to just sit back and stand by while people take advantage of our lack of a secure border.
Right, so
it
60,000
may become an
Americans
emergency.
died last year from drug ODs, and most of those drugs came from Mexico. So they're a hostile country. They're abetting the movement of these people here. Would it be possible to send the military to our border? I mean, why is this not, honestly, why is this not a hostile act against our country?
It is. I mean, it certainly should be taken that way. We could invoke emergency. Declare that this is an immigration emergency that requires extraordinary measures. The federal government has a plan for how to deal with a mass migration emergency. We've done it before, say, when the Haitian boat people came. We sent the Coast Guard out to intercept them. There are tools and authorities that the president has that can be brought to bear here, perhaps even work with the state of Texas, depending on where they decide to try to make landfall in the United States. We can move money around. There are authorities we can take advantage of, and we can use our leverage with Mexico. We don't have to just sit back and wait for them to arrive.
Well, somebody better be thinking this through right now, because this is imminent. Jessica, thank you for that. I appreciate it.